Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Boxiest, and today we're going to continue the What If series. What if events had gone differently? And in this What If, we're going to change the history of Cobra Kai. What if Kenny rejoined Cobra Kai during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6? So in this timeline, the events of Cobra Kai Season 6 would still happen. The Saikai Taikai would still be revealed to take place in Barcelona. So Daniel and Johnny would still have to pick 6 fighters to compete in the Saikai Taikai, and they would still have a hard time deciding on who would go. So much like in the original timeline, Daniel will still bring in Mike Barnes, and Mike will still do a series of challenges to determine the top students, and those challenges would carry on. Mike will still choose his top 4, and Mike will still have to decide the remaining 2 spots on Miyamoto's team. Those events would continue, and much like in the original timeline, Johnny would still go talk to Mike, and those events would stay the same. And the next day, Mike will still say that the last 4 were too close to call, so Mike will still want the remaining 4 to race, so the challenge would begin. And Devin would still put laxatives in Kenny's water, so Kenny would still be out, so Devin would get a flag, and she would make the team. Dimitri and Hawk would still fight over the last flag, and much like in the original timeline, Dimitri will still take advantage of Hawk, and he will still get the last flag, so Dimitri would be the final member on the Miyamoto team, and those events would carry on. Season 6 would continue. Tori's mom would still pass away. Johnny and Daniel would still want Miguel and Robbie to compete for captain, so Miguel and Robbie would still fight. Robbie would still be balanced in this timeline, and he would still defeat Miguel, so Robbie would still be the boys' captain. Sam and Tori would still fight, and Tori would still be fighting with anger. Amanda and Daniel would still stop the fight, and much like in the original timeline, Tori would still quit Miyagi-Do, and she would still leave. Meanwhile, Kenny would be angry, and he would tell Sean that joining Miyagi-Do was a mistake. He would say that he should have stuck with the way of the fist, strike first, strike hard, no mercy, and he would want to get revenge on Anthony and the Miyagi-Dos. And later on that day, Kenny would be walking on his own, and this is when he would see Kreese talking to Tori in the distance, and he would overhear Kreese recruiting Tori for Cobra Kai. This is when Kenny would approach them. He would say that he deserved to be in Cobra Kai's team for the Saikai Taikai. He would say how he beat Hawk so Cobra Kai could qualify in the first place, but Kreese would be hesitant to let Kenny join, but Tori would vouch for Kenny. So in this timeline, Kenny would rejoin Cobra Kai, Sam would be the girls' Miyagi-Do captain, and Daniel and Johnny would choose Hawk to take Tori's place. Those events would continue, and at the Saikai Taikai, Miyagi-Do would be surprised to see Kreese and Cobra Kai there, and they would be surprised and heartbroken seeing Kenny and Tori in Cobra Kai, and Devin would feel responsible that Kenny had to rejoin Cobra Kai. The Miyagi-Do students would want to talk to Kenny and Tori, but much like in the original timeline, Tori would avoid the Miyagi-Dos. Robbie would confront Kenny, and he would ask him why he rejoined Cobra Kai. Kenny would say that he had no choice, and that he deserved a spot in the Saikai Taikai, and that if Anthony hadn't drugged him, he would have made the Miyagi-Do team. Season 6 would continue. Robbie would tell Danny what Kenny told him Anthony had done, and Daniel would get mad, so Danny would call Amanda to punish Anthony, and those events would continue. Quan would still be challenging the other dojos to a kicking competition, and Robbie would still accept Quan's challenge, so those events would stay the same. Eventually the Captain's War Challenge would begin. Miyagi-Do would be on defense, and they would still be doing Protect the Egg, but Tori and Quan would still want to go after the Miyagi-Dos. Quan would still go after Robbie, and Robbie and Quan would still fight. Kenny would also want to go after the Miyagi-Dos, and Kenny would take down Devin. Robbie would still be distracted by Tori, so Quan would still take Robbie down, and Miyagi-Do would be out, so only the Cobra Kais and the Iron Dragons would remain. The rest of the Iron Dragons would still walk off. Quan and Yoon would go after Axel, and Kenny and Tori would go after Zara, but much like in the original timeline, the Iron Dragons will still take down Cobra Kai, so the Iron Dragons would win. The Saikai Taikai would continue, and Kreese would like that Kenny was embracing the no mercy philosophy. Miyagi-Do would still have to knock the other dojo off the platform, but Miyagi-Do wouldn't do so well. Miyagi-Do would still have to fight out Dublin Thunder. Robbie and Sam would still start off, and they would fight their opponents, but Robbie would still be distracted by Tori, so he would still be knocked off. So Devin would join Sam on the platform. Devin and Sam would still fight their opponents. The fight would continue, and Sam would still be knocked off, so Anthony would join Devin, and Devin and Anthony would be knocked off. So Miguel and Dimitri would go on the platform. Miguel and Dimitri would continue the fight, and in this timeline, they would take down Dublin Thunder. And much like in the original timeline, Carmen would still be rushed to the hospital, and Johnny and Miguel would have to leave, and Danny would call for Anthony to take Miguel's place. And that is where I'm going to end part 1. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think would have happened if Kenny rejoined Cobra Kai during the events of Cobra Kai Season 6? Let me know in the comments below. YouTube lets me know that the majority of you are not subscribed, so if you guys could subscribe, that would be much appreciated. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And I'll see you guys next time.